All right, let's just jump right in. Today, we're going to talk about a really simple, but honestly super powerful way to change a habit that a lot of us get stuck in, that endless gaming loop. We're going to see how to break it with something called the friction method.
Oof, does this one sting a little? You know the feeling. You build this absolute monster of a rig. You're all set for esports glory, and then you find yourself just sinking hours and hours into the same comfortable game. It's a weirdly common experience.
And that's really the heart of the problem, isn't it? There's this huge gap between the dream of what you could be doing and the reality of just being online. Maybe you've got that Discord Nitro badge, but the connections feel a mile wide and an inch deep. And deep down, there's just that feeling that you're stuck on a digital treadmill and you kind of want to get off.
So, what's the escape hatch here? Well, it's not about some massive act of willpower or a crazy life overhaul. It's actually something way simpler, almost laughably simple. Let's talk about the solution. The friction method.
Okay, I can already hear it. Easy? No way. If it was easy, I would have just done it. But stick with me here, because the core idea is that maybe we've all been thinking about this problem in completely the wrong way.
And here is the big idea itself. Friction. We're not talking about building a giant wall. We're talking about a small, intentional speed bump. It's just a tiny little obstacle that you put between yourself and that automatic habit. The goal isn't to make it impossible, but just to make it a little bit inconvenient.
All right, so theory is one thing, but how does this actually work in the real world? How do you apply it? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual action plan. This is where it all comes together.
And here you have it. It is so simple. When you're done playing, you unplug everything. I don't mean just hitting shut down. I mean physically pull the cords out. Then you put it away. Stick it in a closet, a drawer, anywhere you can't see it. What this does is it creates a pause, a little buffer between that sudden urge to play and actually doing it.
And this is the magic number. 2 minutes. That's it. Our brains are wired for efficiency. They love the path of least resistance. When something is automatic, we just do it. But by adding a tiny 2-minute setup, you force your brain to stop and ask, wait, do I really want to go through all this right now? And you'd be shocked how often the answer is just, nah. But, there's something deeper going on here than just making things a little annoying. This whole process forces a kind of reality check. A check on what it is you're actually chasing after with all those hours online. Let's be real for a second. That feeling of presence, of respect, that aura, you can't grind for it. You can't farm it on a server for 12 hours straight. That feeling is an illusion, and it completely evaporates the second you log off. Real presence, real aura is built somewhere else entirely.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? On one hand, you have the digital world. The status is temporary. It only exists on that server, and the progress is kind of an illusion. And the alternative? The real world. Going outside, touching grass, so to speak. It's about genuine engagement, building things that actually last.
So look, the point of the friction method isn't to punish yourself or take something away. It's about clearing out the clutter so you can refocus your energy. It's like logging off of a side quest you've been stuck on forever so you can finally start your real main quest. And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. Because this idea is so much bigger than just gaming, right? It could be mindlessly scrolling on your phone, snacking when you're not hungry, any automatic habit you want to change. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. What is the smallest 2-minute barrier you can build to change your biggest habit? Have you ever tried mindfulness and just felt like you were failing at it? Well, you're definitely not alone. But what if I told you there's a method that's not only incredibly easy, but you can literally start doing it right now? No apps, no gurus, no special cushion required? Let's dive in.
Yeah, this kind of hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This is really where the problem starts. We've somehow managed to commercialize the simple act of just being. This quote perfectly captures how mindfulness has been sold to us as this complicated product you have to pay for instead of something that's, totally free.
And this whole commercialized approach, it creates what we can call the mindfulness trap. It's this frustrating cycle of having really high expectations and then inevitably feeling like you failed. It's a trap so many of us fall into when we try to follow all the popular advice out there.
Does this sound a little too familiar? I bet it does. This is the trap in action. You're told to aim for this impossible thing, a totally blank mind, some state of pure nirvana. But in reality, the second you sit down to be quiet, your brain decides it's the perfect time to replay its greatest hits of your most awkward moments. It's basically a setup for failure.
So let's just lay it all out there. On one side, you have the guru way. It's complicated, it's expensive, and there's a ton of pressure. And on the other side, the do-nothing way. It's simple, it's free, and, well, that's pretty much it. The contrast is almost comical, right? It really shows just how overcomplicated we've made this whole thing.
Okay, so if we're tossing that old way out, what's the actual solution? It's this beautifully simple idea called the do-nothing method. So let's break down exactly what that means.
I want you to pay really close attention to that last part, without the pressure to achieve any specific mental state. This right here is the absolute game changer. It's not about trying to empty your mind. It's just about intentionally creating a moment of stillness and then letting your mind do whatever it's going to do.
So you're probably wondering, okay, what does this actually look like? What are the instructions? Well, prepare to be amazed by just how simple this is. Let's get to the rules.
That's it. Seriously, that is the entire instruction manual. You just sit and you resist that powerful urge to fill the silence by scrolling through your phone. It's so simple it almost feels radical, doesn't it? No specific posture, no fancy breathing techniques, no mantra. Just you, a chair, and a moment of quiet.
And here it is, the big one. The question that's probably screaming in your head right now. If I'm not supposed to be clearing my thoughts, what do I do with the absolute chaos that's happening in my brain? This is the most important part of the whole method.
Look, your mind is going to go to some weird places. You might suddenly start wondering about your aura. You might think one of those dangerous words like, maybe I'll just start bulking, and suddenly you're deep into a whole new life plan. Or you'll be right back in 2013 reliving that awkward memory. This is all completely normal. This is just your brain being a brain. And this is the most crucial takeaway. The do-nothing method isn't about winning a battle against your thoughts. It's about declaring a ceasefire. You just notice the thoughts. You see them for the random mental noise they are, and you just let them pass by without putting up a fight. You just observe. So, what does all this mean for you? Why is this simple, almost passive act so incredibly powerful? Let's bring it all together and talk about the takeaway. You know, the best part is that the barrier to entry is basically zero. You don't need to carve out an hour from your day. You can start with just 2 minutes. That's it. Find a chair, put your phone down, and just sit. That's all it takes to start building this practice.
So what's the new goal here? Forget about nirvana. The real prize is something way more tangible and, frankly, way more useful. It's just about consciously creating a tiny pocket of quiet in a loud, busy, demanding world. It's a little moment of retreat that's all yours.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question. In a world that is constantly telling us to hustle, to optimize, and to do more, what happens when, for just a few minutes, you give yourself permission to do absolutely nothing at all? What happens when you finally stop trying so hard? The only way you're going to find out is to try it. All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever, picked up a guitar or sat down at a piano just full of excitement and then you're just completely overwhelmed? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this amazing little secret that unlocks pretty much any pop song you can think of. Seriously. And let's be real, this is what it feels like, right? You look at a page of sheet music and it might as well be some wild physics equation. It just feels like this huge, intimidating thing designed to make you feel like you're not smart enough. And this slide? This just nails it, doesn't it? On one side, you've got this idea of the musical prodigy, right? The person who practices 40 hours a day, which is impossible, by the way, and just absorbs genius through osmosis or something. And then there's us. We just want to play a few songs we like, Maybe you're on a campfire or for some friends. But that intimidating wall of theory, guess what? It's about to come crashing down. This is the breakthrough. It's time to finally crack that musical code that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. So, what if I told you that you don't have to climb that giant wall? What if there was a secret passage, a kind of musical shortcut that gets you right to the fun part without all those years of boring theory? This is it. This is the key. Just the number 4, not 400, not 40, 4. That's the entire secret. And this simple, powerful number, it changes everything. We are talking about the 4-chord progression. And here's the really important part. It's not just any 4 random chords. Oh no.
It is a very specific sequence, a pattern that songwriters have been using for decades to create the catchiest, most massive hit songs in history. Like the slide says, it's the secret skeleton holding them all together.
Now get a load of this, because this is the wild part. Look at the sheer scale of what this one little secret unlocks. Once you know this progression, you instantly have the keys to like 90% of pop songs. Just think about your favorite playlist right now. Yeah, odds are most of those songs are built on this exact same foundation. It's crazy. So, let's go back to that prodigy we were all so intimidated by. The myth is totally busted. It was never about being some kind of genius or having this magical, innate talent. Nope, it was just about knowing the secret code. And now, you know it too.
So you're armed with the secret. You have the key that unlocks almost all of popular music. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it? Well, it's time for what the source material calls the ultimate flex. Time to put this new skill to work. And here it is, the 3-step method for the ultimate musical flex. Step 1, the goal. Pretty obvious, you want to impress everybody. Step 2, the method. You're near a piano or guitar, someone asks if you play, and you just kind of accidentally download the chord progression to your brain. And step 3, the result. You can play basically any song they shout out. It really is that simple. And this brings us right back to where we started. Remember that intimidating feeling, that idea that music is like calculus? Well, we can now say with total confidence what the source material claimed all along. Learning an instrument is easy. Actually, you just needed the cheat code. So with this incredible new power at your fingertips, the only question that really matters now is the one you see right here. What song are you going to learn first? Go on, have some fun with it.